Eyes for a moment and consider this. Before you lift a single finger to shape your outer world, something within you has already shaped it. Before a word is spoken, before a step is taken, before a plan is executed, there exists an inner act, silent, unseen, yet profoundly creative. That act is imagination. And what you must begin to understand, truly understand, is that your imagination is not a passive observer of reality. It is the very substance out of which your reality is formed. Each morning, when you awaken, you do not step into a fixed world. You step into a world that is waiting to be interpreted, arranged, and ultimately expressed through your inner assumptions. Most people rise from sleep and immediately accept yesterday as the blueprint for today. They rehearse worries, replay disappointments, and unconsciously agree to relive the same patterns. But you are not here to repeat life, you are here to create it. The moment you open your eyes, there is a subtle but, a powerful choice before you. Will you accept appearances as final, or will you dare to define reality from within? Because what you persistently imagine, what you emotionally accept as true, what you return to again and again in quiet moments, that is what hardens into fact. You may say, but the world feels so real. My circumstances feel solid. Of course they do. Imagination, when believed, always feels real. That is its nature. The life you are currently experiencing once lived as a thought, a feeling, a silent assumption. It may not have been deliberate, but it was accepted. And what is accepted inwardly must, in time, be expressed outwardly. So listen carefully each morning. You are not preparing to face reality, you are preparing to define it. When you imagine something vividly, when you feel it as though it were happening now, you are not pretending. You are not escaping. You are selecting. You are choosing a state of consciousness, and that state carries within it a complete pattern of experience. The outer world then rearranges itself, not instantly, perhaps not dramatically at first, but inevitably, to mirror the state you occupy. Think of imagination as a lens, not a fantasy. The lens determines what comes into focus. Change the lens, and the entire picture changes. Persist in a new lens, and the picture stabilizes around it. Do not underestimate the power of what you dwell upon in quiet moments. The images you revisit, the conversations you rehearse in your mind, the expectations you nurture, these are not harmless mental habits. They are creative acts. They are seeds planted in the field of consciousness, and they will grow. Many people unknowingly imagine against themselves. They anticipate failure, rejection, delay. They replay past hurts and project them into the future. And then they wonder why life appears to confirm their fears. But life is not punishing them, it is reflecting them. If you could see your inner world as clearly as you see your outer, you would immediately recognize the connection. You would see that every condition, every relationship, every experience corresponds to a state you have accepted as true. This is why your mornings are sacred. In those first moments of awareness, before the noise of the day takes over, your mind is most receptive. It is like soft clay, ready to be shaped. If you fill it with doubt, the day will carry that imprint. If you fill it with certainty, the day must conform to that pattern. Do not wait for evidence before you believe. Evidence follows belief, it does not precede it. Ask yourself, what would I feel if my desire were already fulfilled? Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. What would change in my posture, my thoughts, my reactions? How would I see the world if I knew, without question, that what I desire is already mine in essence? That feeling, that quiet, natural sense of knowing is the key. It is not about forcing emotion or pretending excitement. It is about settling into a reality where your desire feels normal, expected, inevitable. When you achieve that inner shift, something remarkable happens. You no longer chase your desires. You embody them. And when you embody a state, life has no choice but to reflect it. Do not concern yourself with the how. The mind that demands to know every step is still operating from doubt. Creation does not require your planning, it requires your acceptance. The bridge of events, as some might call it, will unfold naturally. Opportunities will arise, ideas will come, connections will form. But all of that is secondary. The primary act is internal. Each morning, instead of asking, what must I do today to succeed? Ask, who must I be today? Because doing follows being. Action follows identity. If you assume the identity of someone who is already successful, already fulfilled, already secure, your actions will align effortlessly. You will think differently, speak differently, Move differently not because you are forcing, but because you have shifted the source. You are not changing your life from the outside in. You are changing it from the inside out. There will be moments when the outer world seems to contradict your inner assumption. Circumstances may appear unchanged. People may behave in familiar ways. In those moments you must remain faithful not to appearances but to your chosen state. Faith is not blind belief in something unseen. Faith is loyalty to the unseen reality you have accepted within. When you persist in that loyalty, the outer world will eventually catch up. It has no independent power. It is an echo, not a cause. Understand this deeply. Imagination is not separate from reality. It is the foundation of it. What you call real is simply imagination that has solidified through belief and repetition. So why not consciously choose what you imagine? Why not begin each day by stepping into the version of yourself who already lives the life you desire? Not as a distant goal, as a present identity. Sit quietly, even if only for a few moments. See it, feel it, experience it inwardly. Let it become familiar, let it feel natural. And then carry that feeling with you as you move through your day. Do not announce it. Do not seek validation. The power of this work lies in its quiet persistence. As you go about your day, you may find your old thoughts trying to return. Doubt may whisper. Habit may pull you back. When that happens, do not fight it aggressively. Simply return to your chosen state. Gently, consistently, without strain. This is not about perfection, it is about persistence. Every time you return to your desired state, you strengthen it. Every time you feel it as real, you deepen its impression. And eventually, it becomes your default. It becomes who you are. And when it becomes who you are, it must become what you experience. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the source of it. Not in a blaming sense, but in a creative sense. This is not about guilt, it is about power. If your past imagination created your present, then your present imagination is creating your future. So what will you choose? Will you continue to imagine limitation, or will you imagine expansion? Will you rehearse fear, or will you rehearse fulfillment? Will you accept the world as it appears, or will you define it from within? Each morning is a new beginning, not because the world has changed, but because you have the opportunity to change your relationship to it. Do not underestimate the simplicity of this principle. Truth is often simple, but not always easy. It requires discipline not of action, but of attention. It requires you to become aware of what you are imagining throughout the day. Because whether you realize it or not, you are always imagining. The question is not whether you are creating it, is whether you are creating consciously or unconsciously. When you begin to take responsibility for your imagination, you reclaim your creative life, authority. You no longer react blindly to life, you shape it deliberately. And as you do, you will notice subtle shifts, small changes at first, a different conversation, an unexpected opportunity, a moment of ease where there was once struggle. These are not coincidences, they are reflections. Do not rush the process. Do not dig up the seed to check its growth. Trust the unseen work. Your only task is to remain faithful to your inner state. Each morning, remind yourself, what I imagine, I become. What I feel is true, I experience. What I persist in, I realize. Let this not be just words, but a living practice. Stand at the threshold of your day and decide consciously, deliberately, who you will be. Not based on yesterday, not based on circumstances, but based on your chosen vision. And then live from that vision. Not someday, not when conditions change, but now. Because the truth is this, your imagination is not preparing you for reality, it is creating it. And as you begin to live that inner conviction, something subtle yet unmistakable starts to unfold within you. You will notice that your reactions begin to change before your circumstances do. Situations that once triggered doubt may no longer hold the same power. Conversations that once intimidated you may now feel effortless. This is not coincidence, it is the evidence of a shift in consciousness. You are not altering isolated events, you are altering the state from which all events arise. Most people attempt to change outcomes while remaining the same person internally. They try to fix pieces of their life while holding on to the same assumptions, the same identity, the same inner narrative. But this is like attempting to change a reflection without touching the mirror. It cannot be sustained. Instead, you must go deeper. You must dare to occupy the version of yourself for whom your desired reality is already natural. Not forced, not exaggerated but quietly accepted. When you imagine, do not strain. Do not try to make something happen. Simply allow yourself to experience what would be true if your desire were already fulfilled. The key is not intensity, but naturalness. The more natural it feels, the more quickly it takes root. Think of it this way. You do not question the reality of what you already accept as true. You do not wake up each day wondering if your name is still your name. You do not debate whether your past occurred. You accept these things without effort. That same effortless acceptance is what transforms imagination into reality. So when you imagine your desired state, return to it again and again until it carries that same feeling of certainty. Not excitement that fades, but quiet knowing that remains. You may find that your mind tries to interrupt. It may present reasons why something is not possible, reminders of past failures, or doubts about timing. But understand this clearly. Those thoughts are not authority, they are echoes of old assumptions. They only persist. I have been entertained. You are not required to argue with them. You are not required to eliminate them forcefully. You are only required to withdraw your belief from them and return your attention to your chosen state. Attention is the currency of creation. What you consistently give your attention to, you energize. What you withdraw attention from, you weaken. So if you continue to give your attention to problems, they expand. If you give your attention to solutions already realized, they materialize. This is why discipline of attention is so essential. Not rigid control, but gentle redirection. Each time you notice yourself drifting into doubt, simply return. Again and again without frustration. Over time, this becomes easier. What once felt like effort begins to feel like habit. And eventually it becomes your nature. You will also begin to notice that your desires themselves start to refine. As you become more aware of your inner world, you become less interested in art, chasing fleeting outcomes, and more interested in embodying meaningful states, peace, confidence, fulfillment, clarity. Because you will realize that every desire is, at its core, a desire for a state of being. You do not truly want the object, you want the feeling you believe it will give you. And once you understand that, you no longer feel dependent on external conditions to access that feeling. You generate it within, and in doing so, you remove the barrier between you and its expression. This is where true freedom begins. You are no longer waiting for life to give you permission to feel fulfilled. You are no longer postponing your identity until circumstances change. You step into it now, inwardly, and allow the outer world to catch up. There is a profound confidence that emerges from this understanding. Not arrogance, not force, but quiet certainty. A knowing that what you have accepted within must, in time, appear without. And with that certainty comes patience, not passive waiting, but calm assurance. You stop rushing. You stop forcing. You stop measuring every moment for signs of progress. Instead, you remain rooted in your state, trusting that what you have impressed upon your consciousness is already in motion. You begin to see life differently. What once appeared as obstacles may now be recognized as part of the unfolding. What once felt like delays may now be seen as alignment. Because when you shift your state, you shift your interpretation. And when you shift your interpretation, you shift your experience. Nothing is inherently fixed. Everything is filtered through your consciousness. So if you wish to change what you experience, change the filter. This is why it is so important not to become discouraged by temporary appearances. The outer world reflects past assumptions. It is always slightly behind. If you judge your progress based solely on what you currently see, you may abandon the very state that is about to express itself. Instead, remain faithful, unseen. Know that every moment you dwell in your desired state, you are planting seeds that must grow. Some may appear quickly, others may take time. But all are governed by the same principle. Consistency determines expression. You do not need to be perfect, you need to be persistent. Even if you return to your desired state for a few moments each morning, do it with sincerity. Do it with presence. Let those moments be real to you. Let them carry the feeling of fulfillment. And then, throughout your day, revisit that feeling whenever you can. Not as a chore, but as a reminder of who you have chosen to be. Gradually, you will notice that it becomes easier to remain in that state. It will begin to feel more familiar than your old patterns. And when that happens, the shift is inevitable. Your outer world will begin to reorganize itself in ways that may surprise you. Opportunities may appear from unexpected places. People may respond to you differently. Situations may resolve themselves without effort. But do not become distracted by these changes. They are not the goal, they are the result. The goal is mastery of your inner world. Because once you understand that your imagination is the only reality you are truly living, you stop giving ultimate authority to external appearances. You recognize that everything you experience is filtered through your consciousness, shaped by your assumptions, and sustained by your attention. And with that recognition, you reclaim your power. You are no longer reacting to life, you are generating it. You are no longer defined by circumstances, you are defining them. And each morning becomes not just the start of another day, but an opportunity to consciously step into the reality you choose to live. So when you awaken, do not rush into the noise of the world. Take a moment. Become still. Ask yourself, what is the reality I choose to experience today? And then answer not with words, but with feeling. Feel it as though it is true. Let it settle into you. Let it shape your thoughts, your posture, your presence. Carry it with you quietly, without strain, without doubt. Because what you carry within you, you carry into the world. And what you carry into the world must eventually reflect. You may not always see immediate proof, but that does not diminish the truth of the process. Seeds do not cease to grow simply because they are unseen. Trust the unseen. Trust the process. Trust your imagination not as fantasy, but as the creative force that defines your experience. And return to it again and again, each morning, each day, each moment you remember. Not because you are trying to escape reality, but because you are choosing to create it. And in that choice, repeat it consistently, live sincerely, and felt deeply. You will find that the line between imagination and reality was never as solid as it seemed. It was always one continuous expression, shaped from within, waiting for you to become. Carve it and claim it as your own. And as this awareness deepens, you will begin to notice something even more profound. The world is not responding to what you say you want. It is responding to what you quietly accept as true. There is a difference between wishing and knowing, between hoping and assuming. Wishing keeps your desire distant, something outside of you. But assuming brings it close, makes it intimate, makes it yours now. This is why many struggle despite effort. They work harder, plan more, push further, yet internally they remain unchanged. They still see themselves as the one who lacks, the one who waits, the one who tries. And so, life continues to mirror that identity back to them. You must step beyond effort and into acceptance. Ask yourself honestly, who am I being when no one is watching? What do I assume about myself in the quiet moments? Do I see myself as capable, chosen, secure? Or do I still carry the identity of someone who is overlooked, uncertain? Am I complete? Because whatever identity you carry, life will confirm. You cannot outwork an assumption. You cannot outperform a belief you hold about yourself. The inner conversation always precedes the outer result. So listen closely to the way you speak to yourself throughout the day. Not just the loud thoughts, but the subtle ones, the ones that feel automatic, almost invisible. Those are the ones that shape your world the most, because they are accepted without question. Begin to shift them gently, not by force, but by awareness. When you notice a thought that contradicts your desired reality, do not follow it. Do not build upon it. Simply let it pass, and return to the knowing of who you have chosen to be. This is how transformation occurs, not in a single dramatic moment, but in countless quiet decisions to remain aligned with your chosen state. You may find that this requires patience, especially in the beginning. The mind has been conditioned over time, and it will attempt to. I turn to familiar patterns. But familiarity is not truth, it is repetition. And repetition can be changed. Every time you return to your desired state, you are rewriting that pattern. You are laying down a new pathway, one that becomes easier to follow with each step. Eventually, what once felt unnatural begins to feel obvious. What once required effort becomes effortless. You will begin to think from your desire rather than of it. And this is a critical distinction. Thinking of your desire keeps it separate from you. Thinking from it means you are already there, already experiencing it inwardly. From that place, your reactions change. Your expectations change. Even your perception of time begins to shift. You no longer feel like you are waiting, because there is nothing to wait for. You have already accepted it within. And when there is no inner waiting, outer waiting begins to dissolve. You move through your day with a different kind of presence. Not urgency, not desperation, but by quiet assurance. You act when action is required, but without strain. You speak when words are needed, but without fear. You respond to life, but you are no longer controlled by it. Because your center is no longer outside of you, it is within. There will be moments when life presents you with something unexpected, something that seems to challenge your assumption. In those moments, you have a choice. You can react based on appearance, or you can respond from your inner knowing. If you react, you reinforce the old state. If you respond from your chosen identity, you strengthen the new one. And this is where mastery is developed, not in ideal conditions, but in the moments where you are tempted to return to the old way of seeing. Stand firm in those moments, not with tension, but with calm certainty. Remind yourself that what you see is not final. It is a reflection of what has already been imagined, not a limitation on what can be imagined now. You are always free to choose again. That is constant, even if it does not always feel that way. And the more you exercise it, the more natural it becomes. Gradually, you will begin to trust yourself in a new way, not just your actions, but your inner authority. You will realize that you do not need to wait for validation from the world, because you have already validated your reality within. This is where true confidence is born, not from external success, but from internal alignment. And from that alignment, success becomes inevitable, because it is no longer something you chase, it is something you express. You will also notice that your relationship with others begins to shift. People may respond to you differently, not because they have changed independently, but because your perception of them has changed. You begin to see others not as obstacles or judges, but as reflections within your world. And as you adjust your assumptions about them, their behavior adjusts accordingly. This does not mean controlling. Others means recognizing that your experience of others is shaped by your inner state. When you expect respect, you encounter it. When you assume harmony, you experience it. When you carry confidence, it is reflected back to you. And this extends to every area of your life, your work, your opportunities, your environment. Nothing is excluded from this principle. So each morning, as you stand at the beginning of your day, remember that you are not stepping into a fixed script. You are stepping into a stage where your inner state determines the role you will play and the scenes that will unfold. Choose your state deliberately. Do not let it be dictated by habit or circumstance. Define it yourself. If you wish to experience clarity, assume it. If you wish to experience success, embody it. If you wish to experience peace, settle into it now, not as something you will earn, but as something you accept. And then move through your day from that place. You may still perform the same actions, speak to the same people, walk the same paths, but everything will feel different, because you are different. And that difference, though invisible at first, is the very thing that reshapes your world. Continue this practice daily, not as a routine to complete, but as a way of being to live. Let it become as natural as breathing, as consistent as waking. Because in truth, you are always imagining, you are always assuming, you are always creating. The only question is whether you are doing so consciously. So remain aware, remain present, remain aligned with the reality you have chosen within. And as you persist, you will find that the boundary between what you imagine and what you experience becomes thinner and thinner, until eventually it disappears altogether. And you realize that what you once called imagination was never separate from reality at all, but was the very core of it, expressing itself through you in every moment you dare to believe in it and live from it without cessation or doubt or the need for permission from anything outside of your own awareness. And in that realization, your entire approach to life transforms, not through force, but through understanding, not through struggle, but through alignment, not through waiting, but through being. And as you continue to occupy that understanding, to return to it again and again, regardless of appearances, regardless of time, regardless of what the world may temporarily show you, you begin to stabilize in a state where creation is no longer something you attempt, but something you are consciously aware of. Something you direct gently yet deliberately, something that flows from you rather than something you chase. And in that flow, you begin to notice that even your desires feel different, not urgent, not desperate, but already fulfilled in essence, already alive within you, already forming themselves into expression without your interference, without your need to control every step, because you have come to trust that the moment you fully accept something as true within, its expression without is not a question of if, but only a matter of continuity in your assumption. And as long as you remain faithful to that assumption, as long as you continue to feel it as real, to return to it when your attention drifts, to anchor yourself in it each morning before the world makes its demands on your senses, you are actively shaping the trajectory of your life in ways that may not always be immediately visible, but are always in motion, always unfolding, always responding to the silent, consistent, and deeply personal act of imagining that you carry within you at all times, whether you are aware of it or not. And now that you are aware, now that you are choosing, now that you are no longer leaving it to chance or habit, everything begins to reorganize itself around that awareness. Not because the world has changed independently, but because you have changed the lens through which it is. I've seen and the state from which it is experienced, and that change, though internal, is the most powerful change you can ever make, because it is the only change that truly determines what becomes real for you. And as you remain anchored in this understanding, you begin to sense that time itself behaves differently around you. What once felt delayed no longer carries the same weight, because you are no longer measuring life from the standpoint of lack. You are no longer asking, when will it happen? But instead resting in the quiet certainty that it is already unfolding. This shift dissolves urgency, and with it, the tension that once blocked the natural flow of expression. You start to notice how much of your previous struggle came not from the absence of what you desired, but from the constant awareness of its absence. That awareness, repeated and felt, kept reinforcing the very condition you wished to escape. But now, by shifting your awareness to fulfillment, even before physical balance appears, you interrupt that cycle. This is not denial of reality, it is redefining its source. There is a subtle discipline in this practice. It is not about ignoring everything around you, but about refusing to give final authority to what contradicts your chosen state. You can acknowledge what is present without accepting it as permanent. You can see a condition and still know, inwardly, that it is not the end of the story. That inner knowing becomes your anchor, and from that anchor, you move differently. You no longer react impulsively to every change in circumstance. Instead, you respond from a deeper place, a place that is informed not by appearances, but by your inner acceptance. This creates a kind of stability that is not dependent on external conditions. Even when things seem uncertain, you remain composed, because your certainty does not come from what you see, it comes from what you have already claimed within. You begin to trust that unseen movements are always taking place, that rearrangements are constantly happening beyond your immediate perception. And because you trust this, you stop interfering with doubt and over-analysis. Over-analysis is often a disguised form of fear, the need to control every detail, because you do not yet fully trust the process. But as your confidence in your inner state grows, that need begins to fade. You allow things to unfold. You take action when it feels natural, not forced. You follow impulses that arise from clarity, not from panic. And in doing so, you find that life begins to feel less like a struggle and more like a sequence of aligned moments. Even your perception of challenges begins to transform. What once felt like resistance may now appear as redirection. What once seemed like failure may now reveal itself as part of a larger unfolding that you could not yet see. This does not mean you will never experience discomfort or uncertainty. It means those experiences no longer define you. They pass through. Awareness without uprooting your identity. Because your identity is no longer tied to circumstance, it is rooted in your chosen state. And as you continue to live from that state, you will notice that your outer world becomes less chaotic, more coherent, more reflective of your inner alignment. Things begin to make sense in ways they did not before. Connections form. Opportunities appear. Timing feels more natural. But even as these changes occur, you remain centered. You do not become overly attached to any single outcome, because you understand that the true source of fulfillment is not the outer event, but the inner state that produced it. This understanding frees you from dependency. You no longer need external validation to confirm your worth or your progress. You know who you are because you have defined it within, and that definition remains steady, regardless of temporary fluctuations in your environment. There is a quiet power in this. It is not loud or forceful, but it's undeniable. It is the power of someone who is no longer waiting for permission to be who they have chosen to be. And this power expresses itself in simple ways through your presence, your tone, your decisions. It influences how others perceive you, Not because you are trying to impress, but because you are aligned. Alignment is felt. People may not always understand it, but they will respond to it. Situations may not always make sense immediately, but they will conform to it. And you will continue to refine this alignment, day by day, moment by moment. Each morning becomes a renewal of your commitment to your chosen state, not as an obligation, but as a natural expression of who you are becoming. You return to that inner knowing, that quiet feeling of fulfillment, and you allow it to set the tone for everything that follows. You no longer drift into your day unconsciously, you enter it deliberately, and throughout the day you remain aware of where you are placing your attention. Notice when it drifts toward doubt or limitation, and you gently guide it back, not with frustration but with understanding, because you know that attention shapes experience. You also begin to appreciate the subtlety of this process. It is not always dramatic, it does not always announce itself with sudden changes. Often it unfolds quietly, beneath the surface, until one day you look around and realize that everything feels different. Your reactions are different. Your expectations are different. Your environment has shifted in ways that once seemed unlikely. And yet, it all feels natural because it matches who you have become within. This is the essence of conscious creation. It is not about forcing the world to change. It is about becoming the version of yourself for whom the desired world is already true. And as you continue in this practice, you will find that your imagination becomes more vivid, more stable, more trusted. It is no longer something you question, it is rely on. You begin to see it as your primary reality, the blueprint from which everything else emerges. And with that recognition, you treat it with care. You become selective about what you entertain, what you dwell upon, what you accept. Not out of fear, but out of understanding. Because you know that every accepted thought carries creative power. So you choose thoughts that align with your desired state. You return to them often. You feel them as real. And in doing so, you continue to impress them upon your consciousness. This impression deepens over time until it becomes automatic, until your default way of seeing the world reflects your chosen reality. And when that happens, there is no longer a gap between imagination and experience. They merge. You walk through your day not as someone hoping for change, but as someone who has already changed. And that change, though invisible at first, becomes the very force that reshapes everything around you. You may still encounter moments that seem inconsistent with your state, but they no longer shake you. You recognize them as remnants of past assumptions, already fading. And instead of reacting, you remain steady. You continue to occupy your chosen state, knowing that it is only a matter of persistence. This persistence is not effortful, it is natural. It is the result of understanding, not discipline alone. Because once you truly see that your imagination is the only reality you are living, you cannot return to unconscious creation. You cannot unknow it. And so you continue, not out of obligation, but out of clarity. You continue to imagine, to feel, to accept, to live from within. You continue to refine your awareness, to deepen your alignment, to strengthen your inner conviction. And as you do, life continues to respond not randomly, not unfairly, but precisely, consistently, and inevitably reflecting back to you the state you have chosen to embody, the reality you have dared to accept as true. Appeared the identity you have stepped into without waiting for confirmation, and the vision you have allowed to live within you so fully, so naturally, and so persistently that it can no longer remain unseen, because it has already become the foundation from which you think, feel, and move, shaping every interaction, every opportunity, every moment in ways that continue to unfold, expand, and express themselves as long as you remain faithful to that inner act of creation, that quiet yet powerful decision to define your reality from within, rather than accept it from without. And in doing so, you sustain a continuous movement of transformation that does not pause, does not conclude, and does not depend on anything outside of your awareness, but instead flows endlessly from the imagination you now recognize as the truest and most immediate reality you have ever known, one that you return to each morning, not as a practice to complete, but as a truth to live from. Again, with deeper understanding, greater ease, and an ever-expanding sense of what is possible as you continue to explore, occupy, and express the limitless potential that has always existed within you, waiting only for your recognition and your willingness to believe in it fully enough to let it shape the life you experience in every moment that follows without ever needing to bring it to a final conclusion or an ending point. Because it is, by its very nature, an ongoing creation that evolves as long as you remain aware of it and aligned with it. And the more you live from this awareness, the more you begin to notice that even your sense of self is no longer fixed in the way it once seemed. You are not confined to a single identity shaped by past experiences. You are fluid, capable of assuming new states at will. What you once believed to be just the way you are begins to dissolve, revealing that it was only a pattern you had repeated long enough to believe. This realization is both liberating and demanding because it removes every excuse. If your identity is not fixed, then it is chosen consciously or unconsciously. And if it is chosen, then it can be rechosen. So you begin to take greater care in how you define yourself, not through labels spoken outwardly, but through the quiet assumptions you hold inwardly. You stop identifying with limitations, even subtle ones. You stop telling yourself stories that reinforce smallness or delay. Instead, you begin to assume a version of yourself that aligns with what you truly desire to experience. This is not about exaggeration or pretending to be something artificial. It is about recognizing that the version of you who already embodies your desire exists as a state, and that state is accessible now through imagination. And when you step into that state, even briefly, you begin to think from a different level. Your perspective shifts. What once seemed complicated may now appear simple. What once felt distant may now lie within reach. This is because you are no longer viewing life from the position of someone trying to achieve. You are viewing it from the position of someone who already is. And that subtle shift changes everything. You will find that decisions become clearer, not because you analyze them endlessly, but because they arise naturally from your assumed identity. You no longer question every step because you trust the state you are operating from. This trust becomes your guide, and as you follow it, you begin to move through life with a sense of coherence. Your actions, thoughts, and feelings align more consistently. There is less internal conflict, less hesitation, less second guessing. This alignment creates momentum, not forced momentum, but natural flow. You begin to feel carried rather than burdened. And even when effort is required, it no longer feels like struggle. It feels purposeful, connected to something deeper than mere obligation. You may also notice that your awareness of others becomes more refined. You begin to see beyond surface behavior and recognize how deeply interconnected all experiences are. You understand that the way you perceive others influences how they appear in your world. So you become more intentional, not in controlling them, but in adjusting your own assumptions. You begin to expect better, not from a place of demand, but from a place of inner certainty. And as you do, interactions begin to shift. People may respond with more openness, more respect, more alignment with your expectations. Again, not because they have independently changed, but because your perception has. This is the quiet influence of your inner world expressing itself outwardly, and it continues, moment by moment, as long as you remain aware of it. There will still be times when your attention slips, when old patterns resurface, when you momentarily forget. But even in those moments, something is different now. You recognize it. You are no longer completely identified with those patterns. And that recognition itself is power. Because once you are aware, you can choose again. You can return to your state, recenter yourself, and continue from there. This ability to return is more important than never drifting. Perfection is not required, persistence is. Each return strengthens your alignment. Each moment of awareness deepens your understanding. And over time, the returning becomes less frequent because the new state becomes more natural. It becomes home. You no longer feel like you are practicing something, you feel like you are being yourself. And from that place, creation becomes effortless. Not because everything happens instantly, but because there is no longer resistance within you. There is no longer a gap between what you desire and what you accept as possible. You have closed that gap internally, and the outer world is simply following. You also begin to notice that your relationship with uncertainty changes. What once felt threatening may now feel open, even exciting. Because you no longer see uncertainty as a lack of control, you see it as space for your chosen state to express itself in ways you may not have predicted. You allow life to surprise you. You remain open while still rooted in your inner certainty. This balance of openness and conviction creates a dynamic way of living. You are not rigid, yet you are not lost. You are flexible, yet you are not uncertain. You are grounded in something deeper than circumstance. And that grounding allows you to move through changes without losing your center. Even when things shift unexpectedly, you remain aligned with your chosen state. You do not abandon it at the first sign of contrast. You remain with it, knowing that it is the cause, and what you see is only an effect. This steadiness is what allows transformation to fully take hold. Without it, you would constantly interrupt the process, starting and stopping, building and undoing. But with it, you create, by continuity. And continuity is what brings ideas into form. So you continue day after day, not with urgency, but with quiet dedication. You return to your imagination each morning, not because you have to, but because you understand its role. You understand that it is not separate from your life, it is the source of it. And as you sit in that awareness, even for a few moments, you reinforce the state you have chosen. You make it more familiar, more stable, more real. You begin to feel it not just in your thoughts, but in your body, in your posture, in your presence. It becomes something you carry, not something you visit. And when you carry it, it influences everything. Your tone of voice, your expressions, your timing, your intuition all begin to reflect the state you are in. You may not even notice all the ways it expresses itself, but others will, situations will, life will, because everything responds to the state you occupy. So you remain aware of that state. You nurture it. I protect it, not by isolating yourself from the world, but by staying conscious within it. You engage with life, but you do not lose yourself in it. You remember again and again that what you experience is not separate from what you imagine. And with that remembrance, you continue to choose deliberately. You choose what you dwell upon. You choose what you accept. You choose who you are being. And in those choices, repeated consistently, you shape the reality you live in. Not once, not occasionally, but continuously. Because creation is not an event, it is an ongoing process. And you are at the center of it, always. Not as a passive observer, but as an active participant. Not as someone waiting for change, but as someone embodying it. And as you deepen into this understanding, you begin to feel a kind of quiet awe at the simplicity of it. At the way everything you once thought was separate thoughts, feelings, circumstances are all part of one continuous movement flowing from within you. Life, shaped by your awareness, directed by your attention, stabilized by your persistence, and expressed through the world around you in ways that continue to evolve, expand, and refine themselves as long as you remain engaged in this inner act of choosing, imagining, and accepting. Allowing your life to unfold not as a random sequence of events, but as a coherent reflection of the state you have claimed as your own, a reflection that continues to adjust, respond, and transform as you deepen your alignment, expand your vision, and sustain your awareness of the creative power you hold within. A power that does not need to be forced or proven, but simply recognized, trusted, and lived from moment by moment, without the need to bring it to a final resolution, because it is, in its very nature, an ever-unfolding expression that continues as long as you are willing to remain conscious of it and aligned with it. So as you leave here and step back into your life, carry this with you not as an idea, but as a truth to live. You are not here to wait for change, to chase outcomes, or to be defined by what already exists. You are here to recognize that the source of everything you experience is within you in the quiet, constant activity of your own imagination. Each morning is not just another beginning, it is an invitation to choose who you will be before the world tells you who you are, an invitation to feel your reality into existence before you see it, an invitation to stop living as a reflection of circumstances and start living as the creator of them. Do not underestimate this power simply because it is invisible. The most powerful forces are always unseen, and yet their effects shape everything. What you consistently imagine, what you persistently feel as true, what you dare to accept without evidence, these are the forces that write the story of your life. So choose deliberately. Imagine boldly, feel deeply, and most importantly, remain faithful to the reality you create within, even when the outer world has not yet caught up, because it will. Not by chance, not by luck, but by law. And when it does, you will not stand there surprised, you will recognize it. You will know that what you are experiencing is nothing more than the echo of what you once accepted in silence. This is your power. This is your responsibility. This is your freedom. So rise each day with intention, live each moment with awareness. And remember always, the world you experience is not happening to you, it is happening through you, shaped by you and waiting at every moment for you to decide what it will become next.